I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Pop superstar Justin Bieber was once mentored by Sean Diddy Combs. Now, after Combs' arrest on federal sex trafficking charges, old videos are raising questions about Combs' interactions with Bieber.
Diddy's legal nightmare has been building for months, with headlines breaking almost daily about shocking allegations, behind-the-scenes betrayals, and whispers of things the public was never meant to hear. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared anyone for what happened inside that courtroom today.
For the last several days, social media has been full of videos of Sean Combs. You can't click on TikTok or X without seeing something about Diddy. It's practically all you see, and this, of course, comes after Combs' arrest on racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. At this point, Combs is accused of sex trafficking involving one victim, his ex-girlfriend of many years, Cassie Ventura. The indictment says the allegations date back to 2008. Combs has pleaded not guilty, and his lawyer says he hasn't committed any crimes. But there are a lot of people questioning who knew what and when, given that at least part of what Cassie Ventura claimed was backed up by a video obtained by CNN that showed Combs beating Cassie Ventura as the U.S. attorney said she tried to escape one of his freak-off sex parties. And many people are wondering whether other celebrities were a part of these freak-offs, and worse, is it possible that some people, maybe other celebrities, were actually victimized? We don't know at this point, but what we do know is that videos of Sean Combs and Justin Bieber have been all over X and TikTok for days. Specifically this one when Bieber was 15.
As soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, this gonna be yours. So every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, come get the front shot of this.
Man.
Head that out. Minute.
Woo. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to be driving this next year.
Now, that video has been viewed more than 5 million times on Justin Bieber's YouTube channel. He was 15 at the time, and he was staying with Combs for 48 hours.
You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know, he did his first album. I did Usher's first album.
Justin Bieber is now a pop megastar. He's loved by fans around the world. In 2009, at the time of this video, though, he wasn't really known. He was just a kid, and his first album was coming out. Bieber is originally from Canada, and Usher signed him to manage his career. Usher actually got his start in the business through Sean Combs. He lived with him for a year when he was 13. And Usher talked about his time living with Combs on The Howard Stern Show back in 2016. He was sent to what was called Puffy Flavor Camp.
And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I ain't say that.
It started like any other tense morning in the high-profile trial. The press was lined up outside before the sun even rose. Photographers stood shoulder to shoulder, waiting to snap the moment Diddy walked through those heavy courthouse doors. Inside, journalists huddled over their notepads, legal analysts whispered predictions, and fans lingered outside the building with signs, some defending him, others demanding justice. But the moment Justin Bieber's name appeared on the witness list, the atmosphere changed. The room was no longer filled with just quiet anticipation. It was thick, charged with the kind of energy you can feel in your bones, the kind that says something seismic is about to happen. Bieber's connection to Diddy isn't exactly a secret, but it's been a topic of speculation, half-truths, and rumors for years. From old videos of the two spending time together to cryptic industry comments that never seem to be fully explained, there's always been a curiosity surrounding their relationship. But Bieber has never publicly gone deep on it, until now. When he entered the courtroom.
His kids to live with Sean Combs, Usher said, hell no. But back to Justin Bieber and the videos of him making the rounds with Combs. The one from when he was 15 has raised some eyebrows, given what we know now.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. they're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. What you want to do? What you want to do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang out with some girls.
A man after my heart. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, let's be clear. This could have all just been a joke. But in 2020, Justin Bieber gave a tearful interview to Apple Music in which he talked about wanting to protect Billie Eilish from the music industry and the things that he had been through. There are other videos of Bieber and Combs that have circulated online.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything?
Yeah.
Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you tried to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right, okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Again, does this video mean anything? It could just be a teenage kid caught in an awkward moment. In 2015, Combs presented Bieber with an American Music Award for Best Collaboration. And there's another video showing a birthday celebration. It shows an exchange on one of Bieber's birthdays. And finally, the fourth video making the rounds was recorded 3 years ago. Let's play that again. Some speculated that Combs was looking to see whether Bieber was wearing a wire when he patted him down. It seemed a little awkward for sure. Around this time last year, Combs and Bieber collaborated on the song Moments for Diddy's The Love album, Off the Grid. This was, of course, before the first allegations made by Cassie Ventura surfaced. Combs settled the suit with her in a day, and then the federal raid happened in March of this year. So far, Justin Bieber, like many people who know Combs, has been silent. There may be a good reason for that. He just became a father for the first time. A source close to Bieber told People he's aware of Diddy's arrest and the allegations, but added, it's not anything that he wants to focus on, though. The insider, likely Bieber's publicist, continued, saying Bieber's been in a happy bubble since baby Jack was born, and he just wants to focus on being a great dad and husband. That is also completely understandable. Justin Bieber's a first-time father. He should want to enjoy this time and cherish every moment of it. But that hasn't stopped the chatter. This TikTok video from Bieber's father-in-law, actor Stephen Baldwin, has just added to the speculation about Diddy and Bieber.
You have heard the expression, the calm before the storm. There is always a calm before the storm, but then so is there another calm after the storm. There's a calm and then a storm and then another calm.
So you get the gist. And no one knows.
He wasn't smiling for cameras. He wasn't playing the charming superstar. He walked in with his head held high but his expression heavy, like a man carrying the weight of years' worth of unspoken truth. His hair was neatly cut. His suit perfectly tailored, but his eyes told a different story. They were focused, cold, and unflinching. The judge called the session to order, and when Bieber took the stand, you could hear the faint creak of the wood beneath him as he sat. The silence in the room was absolute. No whispers, no shuffling papers. Everyone knew this was going to be big. He started calmly, almost methodically, recounting his early years in the music industry. He painted a picture of himself at 15, wide-eyed, eager, and completely unprepared for the shark-infested waters he was about to swim in. He described the overwhelming fame, the endless schedule, and the constant pressure to be on at all times. And woven into that timeline was Diddy. According to Bieber, Diddy wasn't just an occasional mentor figure who popped up at award shows. He was a consistent presence, someone who extended invitations to his exclusive.
Whether Stephen Baldwin was actually referring to the Sean Combs situation or his son-in-law Justin Bieber, but that video certainly has had people on X wondering. I want to bring in Mitra Ahorian. She is an entertainment attorney in Los Angeles. So Mitra, what are people saying out there on the street? What's the chatter in Hollywood about Sean Combs' arrest?
I think the chatter is some of what we're already hearing in the news, except that there are actual people who were at these parties who have interacted with him. Puffy was one of the, and is, we can say is, one of the most influential artists and producers in the hip hop world. We all grew up listening to his music. He's been, responsible for bringing a lot of artists, developing a lot of other artists. And so he was so tied into the celebrity world for such a long time that, of course, everyone sort of interacted with him, right? The level of interaction is sort of what's going to vary. So in terms of the chatter that's going around, everyone, I think, is just thinking, oh, wow, like I've spent time with this person, or I've worked with this person, and they may not necessarily have known what was going on behind closed doors or the extent of it. So I think the chatter is really more about, wow, we didn't know this level of perversion, dare I say.
So there's a distinction in Hollywood between going to a Diddy party and a freak off, because the freak offs are what the U.S. attorney says were illegal. So you're saying, it sounds like, that people are saying, well, I went to a party, maybe a white party or some other type of Diddy party, but I didn't go to a freak off.
Yeah, I think, definitely people are going to be wanting to distance themselves from the freak offs, right? So this weird phrase that he came up with, and sort of the things that are coming out about what allegedly took place at these sort of orchestrated orgies with, minors and sex workers, and, the kind of things that I think a lot of people who are, who maybe didn't participate in that aspect of it are very shocked at. And so there is absolutely a distancing, and it's not just, parties, right? Though celebrities had actual friendships with Diddy, right? They spent time together outside of going to parties with going to parties at his house or anything like that. And they might have even partied with him just in the context of just, normally, what we think of normal partying, so to speak. But, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they participated in what sounds like a very specific, a set of activities that absolutely would rise to the level of criminal allegations that we're seeing now.
Let's talk about Justin Bieber. I mean, I can't go on Twitter or TikTok or any of these social media platforms, it seems like, without seeing a video of Justin Bieber or Usher with Sean Combs. I mean, Sean Combs, as you mentioned, is one of the most influential producers in rap music.
Gatherings, the kind that weren't publicized, the kind you only heard about if you were in the inner circle. At first, Bieber admitted, he thought these invites were an honor, a sign that he was accepted by the upper echelon of the music elite. But over time, he noticed a pattern. These events weren't about music. They weren't about building friendships or collaborations. They were something else entirely. Bieber described being ushered into lavish mansions, high-rise penthouses, and dimly lit lounges where the atmosphere felt off. The music was low, the conversations hushed, and the faces around him were often strangers. He said there were always people, Diddy's people, watching, managing who could approach him, steering the flow of the night in subtle but controlling ways. He said, it felt like there was always a script, like everyone knew their role but me. And then, his voice dropped lower. He started to describe moments that made him uncomfortable, moments where he felt pressure to stay, even when he wanted to leave, the kind of pressure that wasn't spoken outright, but was heavy enough to keep him frozen.
Relationship, and never have been, with Combs, right? Cassie got impeached with some of that, the emails, the text messages, the words that she put, those words of affirmation. So to the extent that there are other victims, that's how the government's going to be able to overwhelm the defense here. And if it's a celebrity victim, even better.
See, here's the thing. I think about it, and I'm sure he didn't want to, I guess the idea is, not distract from the conversation that's being had, but to make a statement towards the end of the week, after opening statements, after or towards the conclusion of Cassandra Ventura's testimony, when he makes a statement confirming that there were people harmed by Combs, does that signify to you that he believes the prosecution's case, or does he think it's beyond the criminal case and based on the accusations we've seen in the civil arena?
I think it's probably the former. And like you said, the key part of that statement was denying that he was a victim, but really talking about the other victims. And it wasn't alleged victims. He said other victims, well, through his spokesperson. So I think that is very, very important. This isn't a Michael Jackson type case where, celebrities are rushing to Combs' defense. Very few people are. And the fact that you have someone come out that really isn't 50 Cent or someone who, is trying to make light of it or a documentary about it and really point the finger at Diddy, that's a big deal, Jesse.
Mm-hmm. And he mentioned harmed by him, right? It was very specific language. They were genuinely harmed by him, and the shifting focus away from this reality distracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve. There's no way to parse that language.
There isn't, and the defense is obviously trying to separate physical harm from sex trafficking and sexual assault, but the average person who's watching isn't going to be making that distinction. That may matter in the case, but it's not going to matter in the court of public opinion.
And Bieber's statement, it comes as this TikTok started floating around on Friday. There was a doctored image of Bieber where he allegedly announces that he's going to testify against Combs, but the video was quickly debunked as fake. And Nima, you think at the end of the day, are we going to see some celebrity or celebrity friends testify at this trial?
I think we have to, because there's got to be independent witnesses that, saw some of this, right? I'm not saying maybe the actual freak-offs themselves, maybe there are other participants, but, Combs was very public, and Cassie Ventura, to the extent that she was abused, look, it's like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right? You got Kate Moss was brought into that case. People that are rich and famous celebrities, they have rich and famous celebrity friends, right? That's why Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, we're talking about Taylor Swift. This is a small circle here in Hollywood. So the independent witnesses are very likely going to be other celebrities. So I think we're just starting to scratch the surface when it comes to that.
So the question becomes, why do fans believe that Justin Bieber could have been one of Sean Combs' targets, right? You mentioned it before. Well, as the legal saga against Combs ramped up last year, there was video clips that started to resurface of Combs and Bieber spending some time together. And people noticed that the videos often kind of straddled the line between awkward and inappropriate. And Bieber sometimes seemed really uncomfortable. For example, when Bieber was 15 years old, he uploaded a video to his YouTube channel called 48 Hours with Diddy. And this is where he said he was going to be hanging out with the rapper for a couple of days.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their...
His testimony didn't go into graphic details, but it didn't need to. Every sentence carried implication. Every pause hinted at darker truths. He talked about energy in those rooms, energy that made him uneasy, that felt manipulative, that made him question why he had been invited in the first place. Diddy sat across from him at the defense table, his body rigid, his eyes locked on Bieber like he was trying to read his every thought. At first, he seemed calm, tapping his fingers lightly on the table, but as Bieber continued, Diddy's jaw tightened, and his lips pressed into a thin line. The defense tried to interrupt multiple times, claiming Bieber's statements were irrelevant or purely anecdotal, but the judge overruled every objection, saying the testimony spoke to patterns of behavior central to the case. Bieber went on to talk about the public image versus the reality. He said that from the outside, these gatherings looked like glamorous celebrity networking events, but from the inside, they felt more like carefully staged environments where power was tested, boundaries were pushed, and silence was the unspoken rule. By the time Bieber stepped down from the stand, the room felt like it had been through
their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Now, some fans called out Combs for allegedly grooming behavior they say was exhibited in this video, spending time at his home with a young kid who's suddenly been thrown into the world of fame and money, taking him under his wing, offering up opportunities, maybe gifts that he could only dream of.
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, it's gonna be yours. So every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but come get the front shot of this.
Man.
Minute.
Woo. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna be dropping this next year.
Now, look, of course, this could all be for the camera, could be performative. Bieber could have left right after this. We don't really know, but the video made the rounds. Speculation around Combs grew. And then another clip surfaced. And this one posted to Combs' YouTube page showing another interaction, this time apparently in a studio.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh?
No,
you ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right, okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Awkward, I don't know, it could have been a joke for the cameras. Nima, what do you take away from these videos?
Yeah, it's awkward and it's weird. So, look, if it's just by itself, maybe you look past it. But there's been a lot of allegations involving minors, not in the criminal case. That hasn't been charged. That would be a game changer, but in the civil lawsuit. So I'm not saying that those are true, but sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire. And you have a lot of these civil claimants alleging that Combs is also sexually abusing men and boys and children. So again, not charged in the criminal case, but given those allegations out there, I think it's something that people are going to pick up on, and rumors and speculation are going to fly.
So according to sources who spoke to TMZ, Bieber was actually friends with Combs' sons, and that many of his past public appearances with Combs have been, quote, performative. So in 2015, Combs presented Bieber with an American Music Award for Best Collaboration and gave him a big hug on stage. And then in 2020, Bieber did an interview with Apple Music. And in it, he expressed how he wishes he could protect other young artists like Billie Eilish from some of what he experienced in the music industry as a teenager. But he didn't really elaborate beyond that. And one of Bieber's most recent interactions with Combs was even more awkward than the prior ones, if that's possible. It reportedly took place in 2021. Nima, I want you to take a look at this with me, okay? So in the video, Bieber, with shaggy hair, under a baseball cap, he greets Diddy. He's got a big smile on his face, but something seems just a little bit off about the whole thing because Combs seems to pat Bieber's chest. There are some who have speculated that he was making sure Bieber wasn't wearing a wire, even though there's no way to actually confirm that.
A storm. People exhaled slowly, journalists scrambled to get their notes straight, and even the court officers looked shaken. That's when it happened. During the brief recess that followed, Diddy leaned in toward his lawyer, gesturing sharply, his voice low but clearly strained. Then, in an instant, he slammed his palms on the table, the sound echoing through the room. His face was twisted with anger, and his voice rose, not in a controlled, strategic outburst, but in raw frustration. Court officers moved closer, ready to step in if needed. Witnesses say Diddy glared in Bieber's direction, his hands gripping the edge of the table like he was holding himself back. It was the most unguarded, unpolished moment anyone had seen from him since the trial began. Outside the courtroom, the world wasted no time reacting. Social media lit up like wildfire. Within minutes, hashtags tied to Bieber's testimony were trending globally. Old photos and clips of Bieber and Diddy resurfaced, now being dissected under a new, darker lens. Some fans defended Diddy, claiming Bieber was exaggerating for personal reasons. Others said they'd believed these rumors for years and finally felt vindicated. Legal analysts flooded news channels, dissecting every line of Bieber's testimony. They pointed out that while Bieber hadn't made outright criminal accusations, his account added weight to an existing narrative being built by multiple witnesses. One analyst called it a credibility bomb, saying that a figure as famous and mainstream as Bieber speaking out could shift public perception in a way no lesser-known witness could. And then came the
Nima, what do you make of that?
Yeah, awkward and weird. I'm not surprised people think that he was patting him down. Just not something that you typically see. And again, it's just part of this real pattern of kind of strange conduct between Combs and Bieber. So I understand why people are speculating that it's something more than just this innocent friendship.
You know, in 2023, Bieber had collaborated with Combs on the song Moments from Combs' last studio release. It's called The Love Album, Off the Grid, and it featured collaborations with a lot of different artists. Justin Bieber has had a lot of ups and downs over the years. We pretty much watched him grow up, and that meant that many of his mistakes and questionable decisions were fodder for the tabloids. In fact, Law and Crime Sierra Gillespie actually put together a great episode on Bieber's latest struggles in the spotlight for our new channel, Scandal. I encourage everybody to go check it out. But there has been speculation that possible abuse in Bieber's past could be a source for some of his bad boy behavior and potential mental health problems in recent years. Now, Nima, that could be a stretch. Some could see it as a connection. Are you think there's something to that or not?
It could, people are speculating, right? I mean, obviously I'm here in Hollywood and people will see Justin Bieber looking disheveled or losing weight. And, of course, the tabloids are going to jump to conclusions, right? Is it drugs? Is it relationship problems? Is it trauma from past sex abuse? And it's really impossible to know what, if anything, he's going through, but he does appear to be acting and looking differently as of late.
But some will say, if he's making this comment now, and they're looking at his past interactions and making comments through the over the years, about protecting young artists, this is a big question that a lot of celebrities have. And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, but there are those who I'm sure will say, if celebrities knew something, why didn't they say something? And by the way, that came up with the Harvey Weinstein case, right? People allegedly knew rumors about his behaviors, but rumors one thing, how much do you definitively know? What do you say to that? Because again, we obviously don't know who knew what. I don't believe this trial is going to sort through any of that whatsoever. I don't think we're going to be seeing big names either being named in this trial or even taking the stand. But what do you say to the argument somebody had to know something if these allegations are true?
Look, I think it's a fair argument, Jesse. This seems like it was one of the worst kept secrets in Hollywood. How can you sexually abuse or assault people for a span of years or decades and people not know, especially when a lot of this happened in hotel rooms or with other people around? This is the same arguments people make with respect to Weinstein or Epstein or other abusers. This isn't your typical sexual assault that is behind closed doors without other people present. That's one of the things that makes this case so unique. And look, there is going to be speculation and there is going to be rumors and there are going to be rumors. And that's what social media is all about.
Speculation. Would Bieber's testimony inspire others to come forward? Would it lead to more witnesses? Could it connect dots that, until now, had seemed separate? Inside legal circles, the consensus was clear. This was a turning point. Bieber hadn't just testified, he'd ripped open a door that others had been too afraid to touch. And once that door is open, it's almost impossible to close it again. For Diddy, this moment could be catastrophic. He's no stranger to controversy, but the combination of courtroom drama, public meltdown, and a pop culture icon pointing the finger is a recipe for disaster. The carefully curated image he's maintained for decades of the untouchable mogul, the smooth operator, the respected businessman, has been fractured. And fractures, once they start, have a way of spreading fast. As the trial continues, all eyes will be on what comes next. Will Diddy's team find a way to discredit Bieber's account? Will other high-profile names step up to corroborate it? Or is this the moment the tide officially turns, and the industry begins to eat one of its own? One thing's for sure, today wasn't just another day in court. It was the day Justin Bieber walked into that room, told his truth, and shook the foundation of Diddy's defense. And no matter what the verdict ends up being, the image of Diddy losing control in that courtroom will be burned into the public's mind forever. Because in the court of public opinion, moments like that are often more damning than anything written in a legal transcript.